Savannah Marshall is widely regarded to be the hardest puncher in women's boxing, and with a record of 12-0, 10 knockouts, it's easy to see why. The Hartlepool, England fighter has only failed to stop 2 opponents in her entire career, and she will be hoping for another huge performance against Clarissa Shields this weekend. Today, we're ranking Savannah Marshall's 10 knockouts in her career so far, so don't go anywhere. At 10, it's Esther Konechna. Stay tuned. Marshall took on her Czech opponent back in 2018 in just her second professional fight. Managed to score her first finish in the process. The heavy-hitting Englishwoman took just 2 rounds to get her challenger out of there, dominating the center of the ring from the beginning. Her opponent managed to get out of the first round, but her days were numbered as Marshall came out with the second with a point to prove. Landing some solid combinations as the round wore on, Marshall landed some huge body shots, and with Konechna offering very little in the way of attack, the referee could only step in for a standing TKO. A sign of things to come for Savannah. What did you guys make of the first stoppage of Marshall's career? We have Hannah Rankin at number 9. Stay with us. Marshall took on Rankin during the COVID-19 pandemic in an eerily empty stadium, taking a little longer than usual to get going. Rankin actually took Marshall the farthest she ever been in fights she had knocked out her opponents out in, forcing Savannah to wait until the 7th round. The referee really should have stepped in as Marshall pummeled Rankin for the entire round, with the Scot offering very little. Punishing body shot after punishing body shot landed on Rankin, and the referee took several looks at whether he should end it or not, with Rankin actually doing his job for him, scandalously, and taking a knee to save herself 11 seconds before the end of the round. Marshall won the vacant WBO title in the process, which she still holds to this day. Do you think the referee should have stopped this one earlier? Number 8, it's Alejandra Ayala. In her 3rd professional fight, Marshall took on Alejandra Ayala at London's York Hall, and she made short work of her opponent, knocking her out inside 2 rounds. After dominating the first, showing a ton of variety in her shots, Marshall came out swinging in the second and was no match for Ayala, who didn't seem to know what had hit her. To her credit, she managed to stay standing up after eating some huge shots, but towards the end of the round, Marshall got her opponent out of there after landing a massive right hand to send her stumbling to the canvas and moved to 3-0 in her professional career. The fight announced Savannah was one of the biggest hitters in the women's game, which she has since gone on to prove again and again. What did you make of this one? Ashley Curry is in at 7. Stay with us. Savannah took on Ashley Curry in her 8th professional fight in what could only really be described as a mismatch. The hard-hitting English fighter laid it on her opponent in the opening 2 rounds, and by the 3rd, the writing was on the wall. So much so that Curry's corner decided the best course of action would be to throw in the towel to save their fighter from any further punishment at 47 seconds of the 3rd. The one-sided performance would propel Marshall into title contention, as there was just no way she could be ignored after dominating so many of her opponents up to that point. What did you guys make of this one? At 6, it's Danielle Bastieri. Marshall moved to 7-0 with her 5th round finish of Brazil's Bastieri, who she had also previously fought and beaten in the amateurs. Having become Britain's first amateur world champion, Savannah knew what she was up against with Bastieri, but took a little while to settle into her rhythm. Marshall, clearly the bigger fighter, had to be careful of Bastieri's counter-punching, but seemed to come on strong as the rounds progressed. Bastieri proved how tough she was after taking shot after shot from Marshall. But in the 5th, Savannah finally got the better of her opponent as she began to find the target more often. With the round drawing to a close, Savannah had Bastieri backed up against the ropes, landing a lovely right to the body before a combination upstairs sent her opponents to the canvas. A beautiful finish for Marshall. What did you make of this one? Give us your thoughts below. Lolita Musea is coming through at number 5. Don't go anywhere. Zambia's Musea tasted defeat for the first time in her career after her fight with Savannah back in October 2021. With the English fighter again getting the job done in the 2nd round, what is it about round number 2 in Savannah Marshall? Retaining her WBO title with the win, Marshall landed some bombs throughout the 1st round, with Musea wobbling back to the corner, appearing exhausted. In the 2nd, she came out a little more refreshed, and her low stance appeared to give Marshall something to think about. However, she figured out that particular puzzle in no time, delivering some some hard shots to the body, Savannah smelled blood and unloaded on her opponent towards the end of the round. It seemed to be a race between the clock and the referee, but the ref just got there in time to save Mosea from any more punishment and hand Marshall another impressive win. Number 4, we have Claudia Vig. Stick around. Another Savannah Marshall fight, another second round knockout. This one also came early in the Hartlepool native's career, as she sought to move to 5 wins from 5 professional fights. She continued her rise through the middleweight rankings in Manchester's Victoria Warehouse, adding to her perfect record with the routine TKO over Vig, who had been dropped twice before the referee decided he had seen enough. It was the 4th KO win in 5 fights for Marshall, who was beginning to create a bit of a buzz in the women's boxing scene. Do you guys remember this one? Let us know what you thought below. At 3, it's Borislava Garinova. Stay tuned. It's not often you see a body shot KO, but a la Ricky Hatton vs. Jose Luis Castillo from back in June 2007, that's exactly what we got. Savannah got the job done in the very first round as she landed a slick right-left combination to the body of her Bulgarian opponent. The punches clearly knocked the win out of Garinova, who declined to pick herself up off the canvas to hand Marshall her 6th professional win. The shots were timed to perfection and served to prove just how much venom Marshall actually possesses in those gloves. We wouldn't particularly like to be Clarissa Shields going into this weekend's bout. No sir. Maria Lindberg is in at number 2. After taking the fight at short notice, given the fact that Marshall's WBO title was on the line, Maria Lindberg should really be commended. However, she was seriously in over her head and massively outgunned by Marshall in the first defense of her newly acquired belt. It's actually a credit to the Swede that she managed to survive the first 2, given how much Marshall likes knocking people out in the second round. But Savannah was in no mood to hang around once the 3rd round rolled around. Putting Lindberg down with a slick combination, Maria knew she was no match for Marshall and did the right thing by staying on the canvas and allowing the referee to count her out, surviving the fight another day. Something which more fighters should do when they know they are being outclassed, really. What did you guys make of this one? And finally, number 1 is Savannah's huge knockout win over Femke Hermans. Stay with us. Savannah delivered a knockout for the ages in her most recent fight against Belgium's Hermans. The fight, which took place earlier this year, saw Marshall retain her WBO title while easily providing the biggest and best knockout of the English fighter's career. Marshall had won both rounds as the pair headed into the 3rd and had the Belgian backed up against the ropes, and as Savannah threw a right, Hermans ducked out of the way of it, but her body weight had shifted to her right side. Marshall then threw an instant left hook which landed flush in Femke's face, instantly sending her down to the canvas. Hermans was out cold and had to be put into the recovery position, while Savannah celebrated a huge win. It was this performance which prompted the powers that be to get their butts into gear and book the Marshall vs. Shields fight we will finally get to see this weekend. What did you guys think of the Hermans KO? Pretty crazy, right? And let us know if you think we've got the order of Savannah's knockouts wrong below. As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to swing by again next time when we will be discussing all sorts of other interesting bits and pieces. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video with any fans of the sweet science you might know of. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.